Before someone with long COVID returns to work, it's essential that a return to work action plan is developed. In this presentation, Supporting Healthcare Heroes sets out some guidance for doing this.
As part of the planning process for returning to work, the Oxford Long COVID Clinic suggests thinking about the following questions during the planning stages. Doing so should help decide which workplace modifications or reasonable adjustments are needed. So, what is your normal pattern of working? Where is your work base? Are you in an office or at home? How do you get to work? Do you need to travel once you get to work? Do you stay in one place during the day or move around? What's your workplace environment like? Is it an open plan office or your own working space? What are your main duties? What control do you have over your own workload? Are you constantly working to deadlines or is there more flexibility? Are you responsible for other staff? Where do you normally go for support at work? Do you have a work colleague who's supportive? It's important to think about the policies your workplace has in relation to sickness and return to work. And also think about whether you've got a union rep, and if you do, get them involved in the process. So, what does a smart return to work action plan look like? First of all, I want to say that return to work plan isn't unique to long COVID. It's used for many people with various long-term conditions who are returning to work. But the smart return to work plan should include the elements outlined on this slide. And it should be co-developed with the workers and line managers. It should be collaborative, remembering that the worker knows their health and job, but will need help. It's also important to remember that the Return to Work Action Plan is the most important element of helping people with health problems to achieve a timely return to work. It's important to focus on what can be done, not what can't. It's important to identify the obstacles to someone's return to work and what can be done to overcome those obstacles. A return to work date should be agreed and a timeline for actions. It's really important to agree a review schedule to allow for any revising of the plan that's needed. And it's important to remember that getting back to work with long COVID is possible, but may not be a linear process. Based on what I've learnt and the information in the best practice guidelines, I've come up with this list of things that I believe should be included in a return to work plan. A return to work plan should be agreed in partnership with the employee, union rep, their manager and HR. It's important to have advice from occupational health. It's also important to focus on what the employee can do rather than what they can't. Any return to work should be very gradual, with decreased hours on non-consecutive days. It's also worth considering a change of role. Someone may be fit to return to work doing a couple of hours in a non-clinical role, and it's worth facilitating this if at all possible. It's worth thinking about what adjustments are in place. A key enabler seems to be being able to work from home. This doesn't often seem to happen. It's also important that someone can rest and pace when they need to be, maybe by having more regular breaks. It's crucial that there should be a plan for relapses. Is the employee going to take sick leave or annual leave? This is something that doesn't seem to happen consistently and causes stress and anxiety when a relapse almost inevitably happens. It's also really important to build in a review process and consider whether someone needs to step back a stage or whether they can move to the next one. I also believe it's important to discuss any annual leave and pay issues during the planning process to avoid issues further down the road. People often ask me how long a phased return should be. There isn't an easy answer to this, but we do know that a standard 4 to 6 week phased return is not going to work. I'd suggest a minimum of 12 weeks, but in reality, longer is usually needed. The key to success is being flexible and realising that the return to work process won't be linear. Some people with long COVID are using annual leave to extend their phased return. In some cases, this means they don't have the opportunity to have a full week of annual leave at any point during the year. This is clearly an issue for people with a long-term condition that is energy limiting. On this slide, I've listed some examples of workplace modifications or reasonable adjustments. What's needed will depend on someone's job. I'm not going to read through this, but that you can see that there are many ways of helping someone come back to work. However, the reality in the NHS isn't normally as rosy as you might hope. Many people are telling me that they haven't got an extended phased return on offer. Many people with long COVID are only being offered a standard 4-week return to work programme. At least one trust is only allowing their staff with long COVID 2 weeks of phased return. And many people, as I've said already, are using their annual leave to extend. And people are driven crazy by the lack of consistency between trusts. There are also unrealistic expectations. People are asked to do too many hours, too quickly. People are expected to do full-time courses within 2 weeks of their return. People aren't being allowed to work from home. 12-hour shifts and or working on consecutive days is problematic. And it's also worth considering that people may be fit to come back to work for a few hours, but they might not be fit to work in clinical practice.